Gamers, how are you all doing today? Today I'm bringing you the only Battlegrounds build you will need. It's a Dragonknight that's easy to build, easy to play, and so much fun. With more regular Battlegrounds events happening and increased rewards, you're going to want a specialized Battlegrounds build to make the most of it. This build can also be played in full CP Cyrodiil, but it really thrives in those no CP Battleground environments. If you're an experienced Dragonknight PvP player, then this build would be no surprise to you. But for those of you who are new and looking for some solid DK action, then let me show you how it's done. Let's get into it. Okay, so here we are with the specialized Battlegrounds build. First of all, let's get into the stats. We've got around 33k health. It's good for survivability, 26k magicka, almost 17k stamina for the break freeze and the sprinting. And a huge magicka recovery pool on the Dragonknight, especially as soon as we get resources back from various different places. We can get over 4k weapon damage, crits in about 30%, penetration at close to 7k, and then some solid resistances as well. We are a Nord for the extra resistances and ultimate gain. Quick few things. The food we are using are Clockwork Citrus Fillet, which gives us health and health recovery and max magicka and magicka recovery. Very expensive food, but it's definitely worth it. And we are using the Warrior Munderstone for the extra weapon damage. So, going into the sets, the first thing I should probably mention is this is a One Bar Oakensoul build. Oakensoul, not as strong as it used to be when it released, but it's still very useful to have, especially on a Dragonknight when you pair it with this other set we're using. So this gives you an absolute ton of minor and major buffs, like Berserk, Courage, Brutality, Sorcery, Prophecy, you know, there's a whole list there. But it means you cannot weapon swap. So yeah, I still really recommend this. It makes the build easier to play and, you know, sometimes more fun. So what we're doing is we are pairing that with Daedric Trickery, which gives us health, stamina, magicka, and then when you deal damage, you gain one of the 5 random major buffs every 9 seconds. So you can get Expedition, Protection, Mending, Heroism, or Vitality. So this means when we have all of these buffs up constantly, like they never go down, they're always going, they're always up, and then every 9 seconds that we do damage, we get one of the major buffs for 21 seconds. It just means we are overpowered through the roof. So the Daedric Trickery buffs are Expedition, which is increased movement speed, Protection, which is reduced damage taken, Mending, which is extra healing, Heroism, which is ultimate gen, which is very good for Dragonknight, and Vitality, which is, I think, is healing taken. So this build's all about getting these buffs and then using those to your advantage. For example, you got to get a little bit of practice in to notice which buffs you've got, because you know when you're in a heat of battle, sometimes it's not that obvious. You know, for example, if you get Expedition, that means you can run around more and line of sight more, and you know, stuff like that. If you get Protection, that means you get major protection from your Daedric Trickery and minor protection from your Oakensoul, which means you can take a lot more damage. That's a total of 15% reduced damage taken there. You know, stuff like that. And it's like always up. We get multiple procs at the same time. So it's just very handy to have on a DK. So we've got this on the helmet, the shoulders, the hands, the legs, and the feet. And then paired with that, we are also using Burning Spellweave, which is a solid Dragonknight set, has been for many moons now. When you deal damage with a flame ability, which we have loads of, you gain a burning status effect, which increases your weapon as well damage. So that's guaranteed to proc all the time. It's up for 8 seconds. It can occur every 12 seconds, so there's only a 4-second cooldown on it. So yeah, that's pretty solid damage buff all around. So we've got this on the belt, the ring, the necklace, and then we're using a front bar Inferno stuff in sharpened. We do have escapist poisons I'll talk about those a bit later when we're going through the skills though. And then the last piece we have is a reinforced trainee for the extra health. In terms of weights and traits, we've got the one reinforced on the body. We've got 2 well fitted, just because I like to do a dodge roll every now and then. 1 divine to increase our weapon damage. And then some impenetrable so we don't get crit as hard. And then we're using 3 heavy on the big pieces. The helm, chest and legs. 3 light on the shoulders, hands, and belt, because Burning Spell weave comes in light armor, and then 1 medium on the boots, so we can get that Undaunted passive proc. Data Trickery, I don't think I mentioned this, is a craftable set, so you can do it in any weights and traits you like. I just like this balance, so if you want to go some more light, that's perfectly up to you, but I found a good balance with this. And then on the jewelry, I've gone 2 Magicka recovery. We've done this because of these skills. We're using a skill, we're using Dragon Blood, which uses a lot of Magicka. We end up having to spam it quite often, so I like the extra Magicka recovery. You probably could stick another damage on, but it's up to you. So 2 infused Magicka recovery and 1 swift weapon damage for the movement speed. Okay, let's go into skills. Of course, we've only got the 1 bar. So we're starting off with Molten Whip, of course. You cost half Magicka, half stamina. Does huge damage, and if you strike an enemy that is immobile or stunned, you set them off balance. The good thing about this skill though is whenever you activate a different Ardent Flame ability, you gain a stack of Seething Fury, increases the damage of your next whip by 20%, up to 3 times, and increases your weapon spell damage. And of course we've got 2 more Ardent Flame abilities on, so we can get this procced quite nicely. So yeah, that's a good spammable. Race Against Time, this gives you the Minor Force and Expedition. We do get Expedition from Data Trickery, but you won't always get it, so it's good to have it on demand, and it removes snares and immobilizations as well, so it lets you run around the battlefield nicely. Burning Embers. I really like this skill for the damage over time and the heal. So this is what I was talking about with my poisons. As you noticed, we don't have a stun on our bar. So I was using Earthen Heart Shattering Rocks, which stuns the target, sets them up so you can like whip them nicely, gives you health back, and also procs Mountain's Blessing, giving you minor brutality, so with an extra 10% damage. The problem I had with this though is it wasn't reliable enough for the heal, which meant the only other heal I had was Coagulating Blood, because it only works if the opponent isn't CC immune. So they have to be susceptible to a stun for you to hit them with the Shattering Rocks, and then they have to break free so you heal. So I found this a much more reliable heal, because you can apply it on several targets when you're in a group fight, and it can just proc over the course of the fight and you don't have to worry about it. And it does damage, and it procs Molten Whip as well. So I really just preferred this, but it means we don't have a stun, so instead I'm using Escapist poisons on my Inferno stuff, which immobilizes your target and grants you Unstoppable, rendering you immune to crowd control effects. So this will stun your opponent, and it would drain health from them, giving you health back, and it would drain stamina from them, meaning they can't break free as often. So I used that. It's less of a reliable stun, the poisons, but as long as you keep track of when they're CC immune, you'll know when they're going to get stunned anyway, so then you can whip them when they're stunned anyway. So I found this much better, and yeah, I just prefer this skill over Shattering Rocks. So yeah, Flames of Oblivion. Activate an aura of flames which launches a fireball at 3 enemies. This is huge damage, and you get Major Prophecy and Savagery, but that's moot anyway because we get that in other places. This I like to spam as I'm running into a fight, so then I immediately turn up with 3 procs like on my Molten Whip, so that does big damage. Because you can just do that running in, doesn't cost too much Magicka, especially with the huge amount of recovery we've got anyway. So yeah, and it does nice damage to 3 targets. So if you stick embers on them, I usually use Flames of Oblivion, then stick embers on somebody, then use Flames of Oblivion again, because it procs straight away each time you use it as well, so it will do damage. And then that gets you your 3 procs of Molten Whip, and then you fly in with a whip. It's very nice. And then Coagulating Blood, this is our panic heal, does 10,000 healing, increased by up to 50% based on your missing health, and gives you major fortitude, which is health recovery. This is a fantastic heal, and it's very expensive, but the problem I have with Oaken Soul is, of course, you don't have as many skills to choose from. So the way I see it is you have to have at least one very good heal, and then have enough recovery to be able to spam that heal, if that makes sense. Because most good heals in the game cost a lot of resources, so you just send your recovery through the roof, and then you can spam this as much as you want. So for example, I can just spam this all day, every day, and I never run out of magicka anyway. So it makes you unkillable. The second you get to low health, you just proc it, and you're back up to full, especially when it crits as well. It's a very nice skill to have. The only problem is I get caught out sometimes. You have to watch out, because you'll get down to low health, you'll be just about to use it, and then you get stunned, and then you don't get to use it and you get killed anyway. So just watch out for that. But yeah, it's a fantastic skill. And of course, the most exciting ultimate in the game, my favorite of all time, Ferocious Leap, deals huge flame damage to all enemies, stuns them. I suppose we do have a stun on the bar, but I don't really use this much for the stun, unless I'm chasing somebody down. And then when you leap, you gain a huge damage shield for 6 seconds. So yeah. So what I'll do is I'll use the Flames of Oblivion, hit them with the embers, or if there's multiple people, I'll stick embers on multiple people. Usually use my poison to stun them, and then I'll hit them with a whip. Then they'll break free, and then I'll hit them with a Ferocious Leap, which can't miss. And then hit them with a whip again, and that's usually game over. So yeah, like, you don't really even have to think about much. As you can see, just the magical recovery is incredible. You can just go all day, and then you just stick your embers, and then whip, and people die. So yeah, it's really simple and easy to play. You don't have to think about it, you don't have to bar swap, you can just spam your skills all day, never run out of magicka, and absolutely destroy everybody. It's great fun. I will talk about my champion points that I've got active. I haven't put much effort into this because Battlegrounds doesn't use champ points, but just in case you want to use it in full CP, just make sure you have Break Full from the green tree, most important. And I use Teach Blessing as well for the out of combat movement speed. And add 10 minutes to your food as well, because that Clockwork Citrus is very expensive. But Blue Tree, Master Arms, increase your damage done with direct damage attacks. That's just, no-brainer, add damage. Ironclad, reduce damage taken. Still a good CP to have. Focus Mending, this increases the heals, so what we get from Burning Embers and Dragon Blood. And Deadly Aim, increase your damage with single target abilities, so Whip and stuff like that. Balance Vitality for the extra health. Celerity for the extra movement speed. Pain's Refuge for reducing the damage taken by 2% for negative effects you have on you, because PvP you always have negative effects on you. And Juggernaut, while under the effects of crowd control, meaning you gain 1% less damage per stage. So you'll probably be CC immune all the time, especially if you use immovability potions. So there we have it, that's the build. I hope you have some fun with this. Again, it's super easy to play. Doesn't take much, just as you can see, you proc your Burning Embers here, Seething Fury, and then you hit them with the big old whip. And you got your major buffs up at all times. The more damage you do, you get, for example, Major Heroism, which increases your ultimate, so you can constantly proc ultimates and get resources back as well. So yeah, it's super fun to play. Hope you enjoy. And that's the build. Thank you so much for watching. This is a great build for getting through those daily Battleground matches, and will be a joy to play during the more frequent Battleground events. Dragonknight really is the most fun class to play in my opinion. It just never gets old. So I hope you can also have some fun with it. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to poke that subscribe button to see more build videos and guides. Thank you for all the support as always, thanks for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.